Ladies and gents, welcome. My name's Warsmatic. Welcome to my channel. I won't bore you with a long introduction about who I am, what I do. Obviously I make YouTube videos. I will simply ask this. If you like what you see in this video, please consider liking, subscribing, or even sharing the video, because it really helps my channel grow. That is the only thing I will ask of you. I will ask again at the end of the video. If you've enjoyed it, if you found it useful and informative, please subscribe. Also, I'm a 21/9 content creator. I feel like we need to cater for those of us who have ultra-wide monitors. So again, if you're an ultra-wide gamer, please consider subscribing. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to get on and talk about gems today. I'll leave my little humble house in Winsford. So, gems. We're going to talk about what they are, when you would use them, how they can enhance your build, and what do you need to get them. So let's start off talking about what gems are. If you don't already know, where have you been? Gems are stones that you can gather through various means, and I'll go on to that in a short while. And you can slot these gems into socketed items. So anything with a hole like this in it, you can slot a gem into it, and that will give your either armor or weapon an enhanced ability. At this point in time, I've found one ring which I can socket with the gem. So obviously I think jewelry items from jewelry crafting will also be socketed. So it's armor, weapons, and jewelry. So I'm just going to have a quick look at and describe what they do. So gems, my recommendation is that you treat your gems as consumables, as you would do with a pot, health pot, mana pot, whatever. Because I think gems can be very, very situational, and the defenses that they can give you, I think you may need to tweak. Now in PvP, they can give you a lot of protection when you slot them into your armor. And in PvE, if you know the expedition you're going to be doing or the boss, you can preempt that by creating resistances against this and mitigating a certain damage type. So let's have a look at a gem. So what we have here, for example, is a tier 4 gem that I've created called Cut Brilliant Malachite. Now you create these gems in stone cutting. So the profession that you want to level to be able to make your gems is stone cutting. There are a couple of other dependencies in terms of gathering and crafting that I'll go on to in a minute. So you'll see on looking at the gem, there are two main benefits that it can offer. Cruel 3 on this one, or Spectral Ward 3. Those benefits apply, so if you slot it into a weapon, it will give you Cruel 3. If you slot it into a piece of armour, it will give you Spectral Ward 3. And at this point in time, I would assume that this will also give you the armour bonus if you slot it into jewellery. If anyone knows, please comment below. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so one point I need to make you aware of, there is one scenario that I have found where you cannot slot a gem into a specific weapon, and that is where that gem is carrying a damage type and the weapon is carrying a different damage type in terms of elemental damage. So let's take this axe as an example. The axe carries chain fire damage. Now I can take this ruby, which will give fire damage, and I can slot that onto the axe, no problem, because it's fire damage on top of fire damage. If I want to, for example, take this aquamarine, which gives ice damage, I can't slot it because the game does not allow you to have, or I have not found any element of elemental damage where you can slot two different types into one weapon, apart from where you have a standard melee weapon. And I will, let's grab this sword as an example. So I have this sword and it's slash damage, right? Not slash as in go for a slash, but slash damage. We all know what slash damage is. And I am a life staff user, so you will see in my attributes that my focus is really, really high. So I can get a jewel, and I'm hoping I have some pre-crafted here. Okay, so Arboreal 2, 30% of damage is converted to nature damage. Damage scales off the based weapon stat or focus, whichever is higher. That means if I can take this amber and drop it into that sword, I will go, and I'm going to use it because I said gems are consumables. I'll probably replace it with a tier 4. So if we have a quick look at the stats on this sword, it's slashing damage 154. Okay, now I can slot this into that sword, and you'll see now I've got 107 slash damage and 46 nature damage, the nature damage scaling off my focus. So 2 points to note. One is you can't stack multiple elemental damage types on one sword, on one weapon item, and that is that. So, like I said, you need to think about using gems as consumables, and I have a lot here. Now I'm currently crafting out, if I can find them, these brilliant opals, because I'm trying to increase my elemental damage. So I'm doing some expeditions at the moment. There's quite a lot of elemental damage being thrown at me. I think it's also good for frontline PvP healing, which this build is. If you've got ice and fire, which seems to be the lag exploit in PvP at the moment, then stacking these can really help you in terms of your survivability. Okay. So that's gems, a very brief overview as to what they are, and what they do. I would suggest that you just get a constant supply of gems going of all different types, and try and make sure... Oh, I do have tier 4 amber there. Right, I'm going to swap that. Yay! Try and think ahead of whatever scenario you're going to be encountering, and then look at how you can mitigate the damage or increase your damage or create a different damage type which perhaps PvE mobs may be susceptible to. Right, spoken about that long enough. Professions that you need to be able to make gems. Well, first and foremost, you're gonna need stone cutting. Right, stone cutting is the way by which you can craft your gems, and that's all there is to say on that. The other profession you will need to be able to gather gems is mining. So mining will give you gems as a proc. So if you have a mining outfit and mining food, which gives you a proc to luck, then that will enhance your chances of getting a gem from whatever node that you are mining. Now, I've noticed that iron doesn't seem to give you that many gems. If you go for things like platinum, gold and silver, they seem to drop more gems, for me, in my experience, than other items, other mining nodes do. So that's how you gather gems. There's another way that you can gather gems. It's a bit of an outside option, but fishing gives you the option to catch treasure chests, and within those treasure chests, when you open them, is usually a good abundance of gems. I would say that the rate of gathering gems through fishing is either the same as or possibly even higher than mining. I haven't measured it, that's just a gut feel, but I seem to get a lot of gems from fishing. And okay, the last profession that I strongly suggest you level, unless you've got a bottomless pit of gold, is Arcana. So for that you will also need harvesting or gathering, and again it is harvesting here. So you will need luck again to get, when you're gathering any item apart from herbs, it will give you a chance to proc and give you a moat. You can gather life moats through fishing, but Arcana sits hand in hand with gathering. When you craft your gems, and let's say I'm making this brilliant onyx, you will see here it needs life essences. If I'm crafting this, you will see it needs wisps. If I'm crafting one of these, you'll see it needs moats. Okay? Now, the reason you need Arcana is that moats make wisps, and wisps make soul essences. Well, essences in general. There is one other point to note as well. If you're leveling your stone cutting, level it using stone blocks until you get to the point where you can start to make tier 3 and 4. Okay? And that is because if you use these flawed gems to make these at a lower level, you may well be wasting them, because you can actually use those in gem fusion, which is here. So if I wanted to make an aquamarine, for example, I can use 3 flawed aquamarine. If I've crafted those into a cut flawed aquamarine, then I can no longer make the higher level than tier 3. So the way it works is you need the wisps. So I would save your moats, and I would save your flawed gems so you can make these. As you get higher up, you then need if you wanted to make, you can make malachite with the flawed malachite, and then you can make the brilliant malachite using the standard malachite. So for me personally, I leveled up using boulders to get to the point where I was making tier 4. I'll show you something very quickly on the Arcana side as well. Okay, so when you're leveling Arcana, you can level making potions, which will use your wisps, or they will use your motes. Some of them use motes. These ones? Yes, they use motes. Okay, but Arcana will give you the option. So as you gather, you will get mostly motes, and then every now and again you will get a wisp. It's a very rare proc, but you can make wisps. Same as with the gem fusion. You can make wisps from motes, and you can make essences from wisps. So I'll make that essence. My suggestion is level your harvesting, and as you gather motes, you're harvesting and you're fishing, and as you gather motes, use the motes to make wisps, and then use the wisps to make essences. So by the time you get to tier 4 on your stone cutting, making gems, you're ready to go. You can start to make some higher level items. It's entirely up to you. I found that I didn't really need any gems as I was leveling. The one last thing that I will mention as well is that whilst gems do also socket into your armor and weapon and jewels, you can also make your own jewels using gems. So you can see here, flawed carnelian. I can use 3 flawed carnelian and I can make this jewelry item there. I haven't leveled outfitting that high. My jewel crafting's 53. I haven't needed to, but that's on the list of things to do. So let's summarize. Gems, use them as consumables, cater for every scenario that you're going to encounter, and slot them accordingly. You can't stack 2 different types of elemental damage into one weapon, so if you're finding that you can't slot a gem into a weapon, it may well be that that weapon has an enchantment that has elemental damage in it already, and you're trying to stack a different kind of elemental damage. So remember, if you have ice damage on a weapon, you can put ice damage gem in, but that's it. Professions that you need to be able to make gems: you need primarily mining. You also need harvesting and gathering if you're going to go down the route of making your own wisps and essences, and then you will need Arcana to do that. Fishing, mining, harvesting, gathering, and Arcana. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it. I hope I've kept it as short as possible. It's really difficult to get all that information out there, but if you do have any questions, please do let me know. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Hopefully a very, very quick guide to stone cutting and gems, how you can use them, when you should use them, and how you can get them. All pretty basic stuff, but I found it really interesting leveling stone cutting, and I hope you do too. And that's it. I did say I would ask again at the end of the video. If you've enjoyed this, if you've learned any little nugget from me whatsoever, or you just think it's worth sharing, please give me a like, please give me a share, and a subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. And I already know what I'm making for the next one. It's a build guide, the first from going live in New World. So thanks again. I'll see you soon. Bye.